Hello, Lisa J here. Let me see. My connection seems to be a little bit bad. All right, so today I want to talk about the Fear and Greed Index and a few other things. Just a mood check on how we are proceeding for the rest of the year when it comes to our investing. So, that Fear and Greed Index is now currently at 27. So we are officially in fear territory. So we're going to talk about what this means for your money, your mindset, and the next moves that you might be making. And so when it comes to this index that I'm referring to, 0 means extreme fear and 100 means extreme greed. And right now, with the way that we are at, we're saying that investors are nervous. They are very risk adverse and they're reacting emotionally to everything that is going on when we need to always be strategic and stick to a plan and not feed into all of the headlines and things that are going on. Yes, we need to understand what's going on, but we also need to reflect back on history, which most of the time there is a similar situation, a similar time frame when we've had, government shutdowns and things like that. And just use that as a guide on how we can go forward with making sure that we're staying on track and not being, overly stressed and reacting in a way that is not going to benefit us in the long run. So, thank you guys for those of you who have tuned in so far and are chatting. I see Dr. Ninja, Pipeline. This is all Pipeline ever has to share with us. Bitcoin, East Boogie, Fast Eddie. Thank you guys. So make sure to drop me some questions and I will be going back through the chat with them. But first, I'm just going to get through and just chat a little bit about my topic that I've chosen for today. And so are you feeling fearful? Are you feeling optimistic about, opportunities in the market? Or are you just feeling like this is not the time to really deploy the cash that you're holding right now? Let me know how you're feeling overall. Now, back to this fear and greed index. Let me break it down a little bit. So there are 6 points that are used to create this index, basically, which is a focus on investors' psychology and how they are feeling at certain times. And I'm not going to go through all of them because I think some of them are really not as relevant as others. But the stock price momentum, are stocks moving higher or lower than their average trend? The stock price strength, are many stocks hitting 52-week highs or lows? Market volatility, when spikes happen with that also impacts people's fear rises. Calls and put ratio. Now that ties to, are people betting that stock prices are going to go down or are they betting that they're going to go up? So that tracks how investors are buying protection versus betting on gains. And so all of these different things they use to create this, to determine, like I said, where our emotions are driving the market currently. So have you guys ever sold anything too soon? Have you ever sold out of stress or fear, or thought like, this is it, I need to just take profits on something and let it go? Or have you ever let the opportunity of investing kind of pass you by because you were just sitting on the sidelines and thinking it's not the right time because the market was so beaten down? in time have you changed the way that you feel about your choices that you made over those particular times? For many, many years until, just recently, the last less than 10 years now, the only investing that I was doing was through my 401k. And so as long as I wasn't going back and forth and changing, doing any adjustments to my contributions, like lowering it or not contributing at certain times. But now that I am a more hands-on investor, I have other accounts. I'm building, portfolios not tied to retirement and things like that. I'm more in tune with paying attention to what is going on, and so that I can build up my portfolios in a different way. And now, years later, being laid off multiple times, I also have to manage the money from my 401ks from those previous jobs. And so this gives me the opportunity to rebalance, make changes, and be in tune with the market in order to, you know, reap the rewards, get any funds that were sitting idle because of my just neglect of not getting a handle on taking charge of those IRAs, those funds that were sitting. But now I have a handle on every last portfolio. I have all of my retirement accounts as well as my daughter's accounts. They're all at Fidelity. And so when I go in there, I can see all of my accounts, listed out, and I'm on top of making those moves to make sure that I'm not ever going to be losing out. I know that I am truly doing my best to have myself on track for the future. Hey, Nora. Okay, so let me see, what is Dr. Ninja saying here? I never sell stocks. Thank you for reminding me that you were going to get some QQM. I will buy one share at the end of the week. Okay. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to selling my investments. I do trade, and when it's a trade, it's a trade. But a lot of times, even if it is a trade as far as shares, I might have a stop loss on it, but I'm hoping for the potential for it to be an investment. I'm not necessarily in a rush to sell it. Options contracts, yes, that has a date. It's definitely a trade. I'm going to be letting it go as soon as I am in profit, or at least making adjustments to make sure that I'm locking in as much profit as possible. Right now, I'm only holding 2 leaps, but I might do some shorter term contracts throughout the week. So Fast Eddie saying, I sold my Tesla at 145 and bought back at 79. Okay. See, I don't go about my long-term holds in that way. I haven't sold any of my long-term blue chip stocks. I have not sold any. I've just been building. And yeah, I've seen the fluctuations. I didn't even try to think or figure out what the tax implication would have been the last time around, some months back, when my Tesla was up over 100%. I could have let it go and then had a chance to buy back in lower, but that wasn't my thought process or plan or intention. And now it's back up again, maybe not as significantly as it was a couple of weeks ago, but it is. And so let me see what else is going on right now. Well, let me finish with this fear and greed index and what I want to make sure that we're not selling prematurely, that we're not sitting on cash waiting for the perfect conditions, and that we're not delaying our decisions because we're so stressed with uncertainty. And, these are things that are more so going to impact more hands-on investors. If you're, if you're managing a Roth IRA or doing these things on your own and not just sticking to a set deposit and, a set investment amount. So right now, as far as sitting on cash, I think that personally, I feel like it's one of the hardest periods that I've ever been through in trying to figure out what the balance is on how much cash to hold and how much to make sure to have invested. Because when things happen right now, with this government lockdown and it's just taking so much longer to find a job, if there is any interruption with it, it's taking me extra to find that balance on how much cash to hold for emergencies, as well as to supplement my income if there is any interruption. Because me personally, when I am on unemployment, my unemployment is significantly less than my earnings. So that's already going to be a huge impact. And so then again, bringing in that other part of how long is it going to take to find your next opportunity. But do your best to find that balance. And if anything, when I think back to the amount of money that I was holding on to at the beginning of the pandemic and everything that was going on, I was newer to the company that I was working at that time. And so I felt like if anything does happen, I probably would be one of the first to go. I wind up not having any interruption with my employment. I was working remotely for a very long time, but because of my own personal fear and stress, I held on to cash that I could have invested very wisely, and had a lot of opportunities, but I thought that I needed to hold on to it in case I was laid off. And so thinking back right now, I am, like I said, working on making sure I'm keeping track and having that balance. But at the same time, I want to take on the mindset of, if I have to sell some of my investments, if it comes down to that, I'd rather deal with that and then to be holding on to too much cash, because I just don't want any opportunities to pass me by where I can be building wealth as opposed to just getting that small percentage from my high yield savings account. Now, so this level of fear may allow us to have opportunities. I'm definitely putting in limit orders when it comes to my investments that I'm trying to build up, because you never know whether it's crypto. Crypto's 24 hours a day, so that price drop might be. It could be any time. It could be 2 a.m. while you're fast asleep in your bed. So, having those limit orders in allows you to make sure that if there is a significant drop suddenly, like we had earlier this month, I think it was back on Friday the 10th, Trump comes on 10 o'clock in the morning or near 11 o'clock in the morning, and the market just tanks suddenly. And so, yeah, put some orders in. If you're in that building stage and you have the cash available, set some orders, some ambitious orders, and just see potentially if they can get filled. Have your alert set. My phone is constantly, I make a joke that, between my Apple Watch and my phone, I can't, my batteries are depleted some days by the amount of alerts that I have hitting, but that allows me to stay on track and take opportunities that might have passed me by if I didn't, for some reason, have an order set already. And so I'm just doing all these little things in order to be able to look back in the future and say, I truly put the work in and was trying my best in order to take advantage of any downturns in the market that are going to recover and then in the future be beneficial to me. So I want to take a second to shout out my channel member, Thrive and Glow with Joe. Thank you for being a member for the last 14 months. Guys, I have channel membership. Please consider joining. And so let's see. This government shutdown is dragging on is longer than some expected, and it has investors worried. It has my heart breaking for people that are used to getting their SNAP benefits, food stamps, and are suddenly getting this notice. Whether their circumstances were genuine and why they needed them or not, they are accustomed to receiving them. And now with these new stipulations of having to work a certain amount of hours per month and these different things, I just hope that people are not suffering while they are working on this transition that is coming on so suddenly. And let's see. Trade tensions, everything is it's just amount of things just piling up one after another. And I'm just trying to just keep a clear head when it comes to my finances and make sure that I'm not feeling intimidated and stressed, and just doing everything that I can. Christmas shop early, or if there's a larger purchase that you need, making plans, keeping your eyes open to acquire it as soon as possible if you think that, the price could be impacted anytime soon. And like I said, again and again, when it comes to my investing, I'm not gonna totally stop investing at any point. I'm going to make sure to not be here stressed about the perfect time, but at the same time, be ready to go harder when I truly see a significant opportunity. I'm not going to let it pass me by, and not going to be the person that I was back in 2020 and hold on to too much cash that I could have deployed into the markets and had it really thriving at this point. So set up your strategy, stick to it, rebalance your portfolios. Don't forget about those IRAs from previous companies and things like that. Even that money, just getting a hold of it and potentially getting out of whatever it's currently sitting in and reinvesting it into a fund that is moving at a better rate, or a mix of, an ETF and then maybe some more aggressive investments that might be more specific to semiconductors or healthcare or different things like that. And then maybe even some individual stocks if you think you're ready for that. But just be mindful that you're not sitting in a fund that is underperforming, that has a high expense ratio. These IRAs from previous companies, they could potentially even be occurring fees because of just sitting dormant in that way. So get it moving. I happen to use Fidelity, but find the right brokerage company that is in line with your needs, and make sure that we are making our money work for us and not leaving, any money on the table. So let's see. I think I pretty much went through all of the topic that I wanted to cover for today. So guys, please drop me some comments. Let me know your thoughts on everything that's going on. Did you expect this government shutdown to be over already? Have you had any interruption with going to the airport or anything like that? How is everything going? Are you personally impacted by this shutdown? Hey, Trenton, thank you for tuning in. So Nora saying she bought some DraftKings for buy and hold. So that is a gambling, online gambling, which when things get rough, some of these things, some of the out of the box things like that tends to thrive. I've never invested into that. I think that I do have some in my portfolio, but it's just from stock that I've earned from signups, which I don't often jump to sell, especially if it is Mag 7 stock. I just hold on to it. Let me see what Dr. Ninja is saying. I have heard of Fear and Greed Index. Okay. All right, let's see what Trenton is saying here. SCHD is moving slowly. Should I consider another fund? SCHD has been a real disappointment when it comes to my investment, but we have to remember that SCHD is built for dividends. I even things that are a dividend investment, I still have the mindset that I want to have share appreciation along with my dividends. I get that with Main Street Capital. I am not getting that with Realty Income and SCHD. I don't have a large position in SCHD, less than probably around 60 shares or so. Um, and so I'm holding on to them for now. Yes, I'm receiving my quarterly dividends. I wouldn't encourage anyone to get into it at this point unless they have amount of money to put in there. Like, you want to just sit your $60,000 in there and get your dividends or something like that. If that's your intention and plan and the dividend yield and that's how you want to go about it. But me personally, I don't intend on building up a significant position in it. And so I'm just holding on to what I have. Not sure if I'm going to add to it because of the way that it has been moving, just like you're saying. But what I'm going to do is definitely probably hold on to it until the next reconstitution, which I think is not going to be until around March. And then hopefully they'll bring in some companies that bring a better balance to give that growth and that share appreciation. But I definitely have seen many others cut it from their portfolio that didn't have it as a significant position anyways and just didn't feel the urge to continue to wait on it. So let me see, who was that? Trenton. Yeah, I would. You have to make the decision, but I think you could most definitely find something, a safe, conservative, if that's what you're going for, investment with a similar dividend yield, but that's had better share appreciation over the same time frames as SCHD. Maybe I'll try to put together a community page post or something like that of alternatives. But all right, what do you think of rare earth stocks, considering that they are needed for I think that that's definitely considering that they are needed for semiconductors and the AI boom. I think that is definitely a place that you could invest into right now, considering what you're talking about right there, the market trends and everything that's going on with China and this licensing that these different stipulations that they're putting in place. But for those type of investments, if I was adding them into my portfolio, I definitely would be putting a stop loss on because just in case things shift in a different direction. Well, I need to choose my words better here. I always like to be clear when I'm talking about investing and trading. And so my thoughts are on this. That would be trade status. That would be kind of in my portfolio, but something I would be keeping an eye on personally, because I just don't want, it seems like it's something that you could hold long term and not run into any issue. But at the same time, I would have a stop loss on it because I just would want to limit my toleration on how much I would allow that particular investment to go down. And then, obviously, if it's going the way that I intended and I wanted, and the share price was going up and up, I would then increase my stop loss in order to make sure at the same, maybe just trail it up by the same percentage in order to make sure that at any stage, I'm locking in some gains if it does shift. But that's how I would go about something that I feel is a little more speculative, more driven by news and just the current market conditions. But something that I did not do with my target stock, for example, which I shared in a recent video. My target stock is down significantly, but I put it in my portfolio thinking it was just, a regular investment I can hold for the long term, get my dividends, hold on to it, that the share price was not going to, drop as much as it did, but it did. And so I don't have a stop loss on my more major investments like my Tesla, Microsoft, Nvidia, those type of things. And like we do have significant dips on them every once in a while, like we had back in April and back on 10/10 of this month, like I mentioned. So not that I would have a tight stop loss on those type of investments anyways, but I don't have any. But those other things that are kind of newer to my portfolio, I do. Do I have any top picks for the rare earth? I do not offhand have any rare earth stock picks to share with you because I did not. I don't have any in my portfolio currently, and I didn't look it up to make note of it. So you highly recommend Main Street? I wouldn't say I highly recommend it because I got in at a back in, I think, 2022. And so the stock price has it's been coming down a bit, but it was kind of in a higher range. So you have to take that into consideration. If I am sharing, my dividends received or something like that in my portfolio, I do try to stress that, everyone has a different starting point in their investments. Like my daughter, in her portfolio, her Tesla's up even higher than mine. Usually if I'm up like say 105%, she's up 125% or something. And so like, if you ever see me sharing anything in my video, or if I don't share, like show you a screenshot of my actual position, or if I do, just be mindful if I don't, say it, take a look at what is my average price and, go in and take a look and see if you truly do a little bit of research to see if it is currently a buy price under your, under your standards. And so that you can know if it's kind of if you could wait for it to pull back a bit and then work from there. But it has not disappointed for me as a long-term investment, and it pays monthly, which is also been a plus. I think that's at the time when I started building my dividend portfolio, I was investing into SCHD, Main Street Capital, and Realty Income, which all pay monthly. And they were all pretty they were all I was buying one, I was doing it over on Moomoo, and at the time Moomoo didn't have fractional share investing. This is a couple years back. And so what I was doing was I was challenging myself to at least add one share per week to my portfolio. Some weeks I did more, but I could buy, say, for example, a share of Realty Income and a share of Main Street Capital, and it would be less than $100 for the week. So that's how I went about building up my portfolio. So, but yeah, Realty Income is a BDC. It's a business development company. So we just have to be in tune with, the interest rates and things that might shift, and just be on top of the news with what's going on with them, what opportunities they have. But overall, I really do enjoy. It has not disappointed. And I think in my last video I shared, it was just like maybe 0.5% of their loans, people have been defaulting on their loans. So they really have quality people that they are in business with. Just like Realty Income has quality long-term tenants, but at the same time, I was buying those at higher prices over the last few years, and my share appreciation is basically zero, even though I get my monthly dividend. So But I thought it was a safe, steady dividend payer, which it is. And they always increase their dividend. They've been doing that for I don't know how many years. That's what it's known for. It's called the monthly dividend company. But yeah, that share appreciation is a disappointment, just like with SCHD, which someone already mentioned earlier. Oh, Trenton. Let me see. Okay, so do you have? Okay, so I already read that question. Do you? Okay, let's see. Can stop loss be set automatically? It can be set as soon as your order is filled, as soon as it's a part of your portfolio, you can set it, but you have to go in and set it. I don't know what you mean by automatically. Um, and you have to realize if you add a stop loss, uh, and like I said, if my tolerance is if it drops by 16% or something, I'm letting, that's where it's going to sell. That may happen before you've been holding on to the stock, you say you're holding on to it for 4 months and the stock price drops and it sells, you have to deal with however much you invested into it and the tax implications and things like that. I actually bought a couple of shares of Quartz, ticker symbol CORT, Corcept Therapeutics, I think it's called, back in the beginning of January. And the stop loss, I think the one that I have on Webull, I think it lasts for 90 days. So I've put it on several times. It expired. I put another one on, but I've been able to hold those shares since the beginning of January, and I've never had it's never dropped down. So. But that's what we want when we incorporate something into our portfolio. We want it to go up and up and up, but it doesn't always happen. And I will not be caught diamond handing anything, uh, poorly performing investments are not going to be in my portfolio, as well as I'm not going to be taking any huge losses when it comes to my portfolio. So, but I just wanted to touch on that because, buying and selling in short time frames, it's going to be capital gains and stuff like that. So you have to do what you're comfortable and what you think is right for you. So Rod is mentioning a couple of tickers here, MP and USAR, to take a look at for those rare earths. But yes, I did not know any off the top of my head. Yeah, I haven't taken a station break, but Rod is out there in the chat. Please hit the like. If you have not already, please give the live a thumbs up. If you're just coming in, let me know what number you were. Let me see. Thank you, SBK, for tuning in. Trenton, thank you. Happy birthday to SBK. I hope you are having a great weekend, enjoying some football and family and friends and everything that is good. Okay, let's see. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for the video earlier today on the MAG 10. Thank you for checking it out, Ruben. What do you think the real MAG 10? What do you think? What stocks would you add to the MAG 7? Do you think that the picks that were in that article are on point? I think I saw some people commenting that on the article itself that they thought that Taiwan Semi would be in there. Okay, let's see. All right, so my station break little alert came up, so let me do an official station break. I am Lisa J. Stocks, and I talk all things finance, budgeting, investing, everything money related over here. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider joining channel membership. If you're interested in opening a new account, I have a few links in my description for platforms that I use on a daily, regular basis. And I also have an affiliate link for Keenan Grace's Discord. So check that out if you are interested in learning options and furthering your knowledge when it comes to investing and trading. Are there any options traders in the chat? What are your thoughts on Tesla's earnings that are going to be coming up later this week? Are there any earnings that you are excited about? I think some of the biggest names this week, we have Netflix on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have Tesla and IBM. On Thursday, we have Intel. Is there anything that you're watching? Okay, Dr. Ninja says, I love looking up your picks to learn about different stocks. Okay, it's not every week that I share the earnings calendar. If I don't see anything that's really notable, I sometimes just skip that post. But most weeks, I do post that to my community wall on Sunday. So you guys can just be aware of, what companies you might want to check out news about. And, my video this morning that I put out this morning, I was kind of at the beginning giving a little bit of history of over the years. I think I started back in the 60s going into the 70s of, some of the stocks that were leading throughout these different time frames up until what they are considering the new Mag 10 stocks that as of 2025. But we got to realize we have so many great opportunities when it comes to investing nowadays. ETFs being one, as well as fractional shares. So there's just really, I don't feel that there's anything that anyone should be held back from investing. With just those two things alone, you're not limited with having to have a budget, because you can get started with any amounts. Not that I want you to stay investing small amounts. I want you to definitely build up to 15% of your earnings. I want us to really make a goal for ourselves and strive for whatever it is. If it's $1 million, if it's $2.5 million, it's $500,000, whatever it is. If you don't set a goal and you don't figure out what do I need to invest, what rate of return do I need to be achieving to get there, then without a plan, how do you work to achieve something if you don't even have a plan? So guys, get on track with it. But back to what I was saying about fractional shares and exchange traded funds. You don't have to. I happen to have shares of all of the Mag 7. But you don't have to invest into individual stocks. I like to have a mix of those ETFs, basic kind of ETFs. I've kind of created a new investment level. I kind of have my basic foundational ETFs, say, for example, a VTI or, total US stock market or S&P 500. That's my most basic level. Then up from there, I have mixed in some more aggressive, more specific investments like my SPMO or my FSPGX, something like that. That one, yeah, FSPGX over at Fidelity. I don't have these in my portfolio, but you can do a SSMH or something more specific, to healthcare or semiconductors, or just has a different twist to it that has more aggressive growth, but most likely more volatility than just the entire US stock market. And then from there, a smaller allocation I put to those individual stocks. But I really choose to incorporate things that I can hold for the long term. Not too many of those stocks that I have to watch, constantly, that I have to have that stop loss on, that I'm worried about. But every once in a while, I do see the opportunity, just like the person in the chat was mentioning about was it Trenton? I'm not sure who mentioned about the rare earths. You see those opportunities, and it's okay. It's okay to dabble into it. But when it comes to my portfolio, those things, I'm going to keep the allocation smaller, or just make sure that I am being on top of making sure, like I said, I bought something back in January and I've been holding it since. And I've had to put my stop loss on a few times because it expired. It ran out after the time, the 90-day time frame. So just be mindful of those different things in order to mitigate those losses. Like, I think Rod sometimes uses that expression. A lot of people use the expression like, what you're willing to lose. And yes, investing does come with risks. There is potential to lose money when it comes to investing. Definitely, that is true. But it's about how you go about it. And I think I'm going about it in a way that I'm trying to keep the losses small. I'm trying to be mindful, and everything is not going to be perfect. There are going to be losses sometimes, but I do my best to keep those losses small. And I want the kind of portfolio that I'm able to sleep well at night. I don't want to ever shed a tear about, my options trade went bad or something like that. That's not worth my tears and my stress. And so I just focus on, when I do have to cut something, when there is a loss, it's usually not anything significant. And, like I only have maybe about 11 shares of Target. So I saw long ago that was not a position I wanted to continue building up on. And so, yes, I'm significantly down on that position, but at the same time, it doesn't bother me, because when I look at Tesla and Amazon and, even my VTI position, little by little, I've been able to grow those positions, get those dividends, reinvest those dividends. And so, yeah, being a few hundred dollars down on one investment. And, in comparison to even my Apple stock alone, I'm up so many thousands. So I just look at it like that. But I just want to just paint that picture so that people that are kind of apprehensive about investing and they think there's so much risk, there's also ways to mitigate the risk. And so focus on that. Focus on the potential of the reward of investing. Realize, when people talk about being fearful of investing, but I think most of us, well, I hope that most of us have investment opportunities through our employer. I don't know if people have a different vision like that. That doesn't count in their mind sometimes as you are investing. Because you're not as hands-on with it. But whether it's through my employer's 401k or it's my own personal investments, that I have the more flexibility of choosing whatever I want. I have the same mindset. I take the same time to dig through and make sure, call up Fidelity, see all of the options that the company has available for you to invest into, as far as whatever your brokerage company is, as far as the investments, because it's limited. But sometimes there are, for example, FXAAX was available to me through an employer that I had, as opposed to the target date fund that I was defaulted into. So yeah, the performance of just being in the plain old S&P 500 was better than the funds that, these fund managers, I don't know what they're doing building these funds, because they are not impressive. I'm more impressed with my Main Street Capital than some of these funds that I see. Okay. And so, yes, between ETFs and fractional shares, there should be nothing. Those two things alone are such a blessing for us to have available to us, and we should not be held back from investing. I never invest $1 that I can't afford to lose. Yeah, I don't say that. I don't say that because I have no intention. That is not my intention to lose. My intention is to grow my dollars, and so I am not going to be using that. That quote won't be coming from me. That quote came from Rod. Limits. I'm trying to do my best to limit any of my losses. Thank you, David, for tuning in. I haven't seen you live for a while. I want to hear some updates on your options trades. What do you plan on trading this week if you're still here? David, what football game is on? I didn't even watch. I literally walked into the house and had to come and I didn't even have the live set up. I had to come and get on the live as soon as I walked in the door. I haven't been watching any TV today. It's not really my intention. However, it's reality. It's reality, Rod, but we have ways of mitigating that risk. I think David does that in the way that the way that he buys his options contracts. I'm actually I'm holding 2 contracts right now that are January of 2027. So I think that might be something I incorporate more of, having those leaps so that it gives me time and I can get out. But the only thing is that they are a little bit more expensive. So my options buying power gets a little tied up for a length of time. And with the way that, the market crashed just over a week ago, I'm glad that I wasn't in any options contracts on that particular day or anything that was short term, because I potentially would have probably been kicked at a loss. Okay. Rod, David, I'm not going to call you lazy. I'm just trying to give you some encouragement to come back. What was your Tuesdays and Thursday nights, I think? My options trading has been scarce. Selling covered calls when I can and pouring into dividend positions has been my focus. Okay. I say it so my new viewers don't panic when they lose money. However, we rarely lose money. Okay. I have a Lyft contract that expires January 2026. I have one of my contracts is also Lyft for 2027, I believe. Okay. So guys, I think I might try to start making a post, just like someone was asking about some, rare earth stocks, or if you happen to be, in a target dated fund at your company and you want to just having trouble having an understanding of the performance or finding the expense ratio or something like that, I think I want to start a place where you can drop the ticker and potentially, if I can have the information ahead of the live, we can highlight it and go over it during the live. But it's just a matter of me having it to prepare a little bit ahead of time. Because I don't want to, unless I had a co-host up here. I like to keep I don't like dead air on the live. And if I'm researching and looking for things during the live, I just feel like it's just going to kind of not flow the same. We probably got that Lyft idea from the same people who, Rod, you can say the names. Sorry. Is it Keenan Grace and Chris Sane? I won't be offended. I remember one day Nora was like talking about a particular option trade from someone, and she was like, Lisa, I hope it's okay that I said this person's name. I said, it's okay. Let's see. Nora's in a Lyft contract too. Lyft is a good play. The $15 call. $15? How much is Lyft right now? I need to look at my Lyft contract. You got it from Chris? Okay. I figured. Let's take a quick look at my Lyft contract. Can I get in here? Guys, did you know that on Webull you can invest as little as $1? I did not know that. I thought it was $5. And a while back, where's my Lyft contract? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you $15. How much is it currently? It is 1960. Yeah, Nora, you're going to make out on that. I'm scared to look at mine. I was way up, but okay. All right. Well, it's October. It's October. You gave yourself time, so hopefully you can get out of it soon. Okay. I started to say something. Let's see. Lost my train of thought on what I was going to say, but let me see. So guys, if you have any other questions, drop them in the chat. I thought I had dinner plans, but they got canceled. There seems to be some colds and flus and things going around already. Yeah, it gets tough. You know, these kids, they go to school and they bring home some nasty colds to their parents sometimes. Check out Monster and Celsius. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up for today, guys. Drink companies are doing great. Okay. Nora, I'm going to give you a call after the live because seeing you is reminding me that I never gave you an answer on something that you asked. If it's okay, I'll call you through IG because I don't think I have your phone number. But yeah, guys, just don't get intimidated. Don't get stressed. We have different ways to make our investing journey much easier than people are making it out to be. I was watching someone recently, a 43-year-old YouTuber. I'm not going to mention any names, but yeah, we need to know, we need to take advantage of this. We need to get started early. And if we're getting started a little later in life, we need to take it serious and be consistent and set a plan. Because like I said, if you don't know what your number is, then what do you know? What are you working towards? And once you set that number, once you figure out what you might actually want to achieve, then you have to, figure out your plan. Use the investment calculator, takes the steps in order to be on track to actually achieve it. Nija, thank you for tuning in. Nigel had me smiling with some things that she was sharing with me recently. I'm so proud of her and so many other people when they keep me in the loop and keep me updated and just sharing those gains. I just love to see it. I just love to see it. Okay, Nora, I see your note there. Thanks for watching while you're out there on the run. And I will see you guys next week. My number is 1 billion. That way I don't have to come up with that. Okay, Rod, can you show us the investment calculator and show us, your current balance, how you're going to get to that billion? Dr. Ninja, yes, I try to go live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is my normal time slot I try to stick to, even though it's not the easiest always for me to get here because I get off of work at 2 and then I'm sometimes in a mad rush to get home and get all set up for the live. You're setting an alarm. Thank you so much. You can always catch the replay if you're out and about at the park, out fishing at the lake, doing all those fabulous things that you do. But I already know that just based on my investments that I have over at Fidelity, I am on track. If I did not add another dollar, those investments are on track to hit $1 million in about 9 years. But I'm going to be adding more whenever I can. Going to be still contributing into just one. I don't invest like to the max on a 401k and then do a Roth IRA for $7,000 on top of that. I don't have the budget to do all of that, but yes, I do invest as much as possible. So that's what playing around, putting my numbers into the investment calculator is already showing me. And that's, not taking into consideration my taxable accounts, real estate, and things like that. So I have goals and I am in tune with them in order to make sure that I can achieve them. And so, again, thank you for Joe and the channel members and mods for being here this week and helping out so much. I appreciate you all, and I will see you next Sunday.
And to investments, she make a lot on YouTube. Lisa J Stocks. Lisa J Stocks, that's the channel. Hey. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Hey. She'll make it pop. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah. Hey. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Hey. She'll make it pop.